And welcome back to the Football Fanatic podcast. This is episode 11, and I'm your host, Declan O'Connor. With me this week are the panelists Daniel and Howard, and with us also is Keenan, who has flown in especially from Rome to be with us this week on the podcast. Keenan, you're very welcome. Thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers, lads. Thanks many for having me.
Not at all, not at all. Howard and Dan, how are you doing? You've had eventful weekends?
Yeah, all good. Dan, how was your weekend? You're a busy one on Saturday.
Busy one, lads. Busy one. Yeah, it was very good though. Very good. I was a tourist in Dublin for the weekend, so
You were
done all the normal things a tourist would do. I was in Temple Bar. I'd done the Guinness Storehouse. I'd done the Jameson tour. So
good
all is
stuff.
grand.
Howard, you were at the Ireland and Greece match, but I understand you left a little bit early, did you?
Yeah. I was there. I was come and gone. I went for on Friday evening. I thought it might be good crack, the first Friday game we'd had, like that was a qualifier, and went for a few pints beforehand and went to the game kind of, well, not half optimistic, kind of one of them optimisms that you're like, Jesus, now that the pressure's off, we might actually do something, but it was the opposite. And then after at halftime, I was just like, look, I'll give it 10 minutes. They didn't even show anything that they were getting back into the game. So I was like, look, I could watch the game down the pub and get some food. Like, so that's what I just did afterwards. And that a few of my mates followed suit as well. So yeah, look, disappointing. A lot of
it is.
angry heads.
It's a sad state of affairs, I'll tell you. And as well as that, the fact like we're recording on Monday night as we speak, Ireland are playing Gibraltar, and I mean, clearly we have our priorities in place. So like we're choosing the podcast over watching Ireland, and that just kind of says a lot. We will get it straight into it. So there was no Premier League weekend fixtures the weekend gone by. It was all internationals. So what we're going to do this week is a season review of how things are going. So I'm going to ask lads a few questions. So who has been your player of the season so far? The highlight of the season so far? One thing you would like to change about the Premier League? And then the final one, which should be interesting, the manager who you would like to go out on the beer with. Okay, so Howard, we will start with you. Who has been your player of the season so far?
My player of the season so far, and maybe I suppose biased towards Arsenal this one. And I think a lot of people would pick him anyway, but is William Saliba, the centre half for Arsenal. I think he's gotten better even on from last year. He's only 22. Arsenal have the least goals along with Man City conceded all season, and he's a major reason why that is. Like, Arsenal play like three at the back when they're attacking, and they have like Gabriel on the left and Ben White on the right. But like playing that center position then in the back three, like you need someone who is of the ultimate level, passing out the back and has the speed. And I think he has it all. Like he's only 22.
Yeah, he is actually. Yeah, no, he was my pick as well so far. It was between him and James Maddison. But who did you buy him from?
Got him. So the bottom originally from Saint Etienne.
Okay.
It was actually one of the signings from the original directorship, Raul Sanelli, the same guy who signed Pepe. Would you believe?
Okay.
They signed him for 27 million.
So
when
has
he was
been
18.
there? Oh, he's been there for a few years.
No, so we bought him from Saint Etienne when he was 18, and then he stayed with them that season, and then 19, then he went to was it Nice, I think maybe. It was another French team, and then he went to Marseille on loan. So he was on two other loans. And he was in the French player, or you got French player, young player of the year for Marseille and that. And then he came back, and there was talk maybe Arteta didn't like him. Was he going to give him a chance? Because he signed Ben White the season before he came in, like for 50 million. So people were like, well, what's the plan for Saliba? Like, so, but he's been, like you saw last season when he got injured first, we fell off the train completely. Like, so he is that important at that age. And he's just his composure, and he has it. He can back it up, like he can back it up with like his like touches and dribbling even out of the back. Like he doesn't really get caught out that often. So look, he's my pick, and he's a big reason why Arsenal are back contending from last season, and from the title challenge last year. He's a major part. Like, so I picked him. Yeah.
Does he start for the national team?
He doesn't. Yeah, it's just
He
surprising he
doesn't.
doesn't know. He's in the squad, all right, but he's not like from the games I've been watching. He's not first choice at the moment. So I think they have
Cano.
yeah, I think it's Canade, isn't it? Canade and Upamecano is it? Or I think that they're the two. They have a few good centre backs. Like now, in fairness, I'd have him in the
Quende
team
as
straight
well, don't
away.
they?
Say again.
Man, Quende, I think he play right back. You might have him from Sevilla, don't they? He was.
Yeah, he's oh yeah he's they have Kunde as well from Barca.
Oh yeah, of
Oh, sorry,
course.
Barca. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
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 He's
They're
yeah
good for the
he's
centre halves. Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
yeah
they,
they've a few good. And the man I think from Chelsea is Dizazi. He didn't make the squad either, but he's in amongst the team as well. But yeah,
inter
it's interesting.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. The French squad, they have such
Oh,
strength and depth. It's
sick. Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Keenan, your player of the season so far in the Premier League, who would you go with?
I would go with I think James Maddison. Yeah, I think
Really? Okay.
he's really fit into that Spurs squad since joining. He's very creative. Like I think he's got 3 goals, 3 assists so far. But
Mm.
Spurs are playing quite good football. Like, and he seems to be central to a lot of that. So
Oh,
yeah,
big time.
he's settled in nicely there. Like I think it was a good purchase from Spurs. So
Yeah, I was like 40 million, I think, which I
yeah,
mean in today's market is not a lot of money. And he has fit in really well, and he is just some of the assists he's got, like some of the balls through. Like I'm not gonna say he's at De Bruyne's level, but I mean he's not a million miles away from it either. He is a
no, yeah,
very, very creative player, and he sees a couple of passes ahead of the game.
he has great vision. Like, and it
Mm,
was very smart, I think, from Spurs because he had already proven himself in the Premier League before that. So they knew what they were getting in him, and he's just delivered. And he's very consistent, I
absolutely.
find, as well. His set pieces are excellent as well. It's
I
great
was a little,
crosses as well.
yeah, no, I agree. I was a little bit surprised actually Spurs got him because I mean I would have thought with Leicester going down, there were a couple of players in that Leicester team that like Harvey Barnes, one of them as well, was snapped up, and I'm surprised that like another other teams maybe they were in from I don't know, but Spurs
Mm.
seem to get him quite easily.
Yeah, I think
Newcastle were from
they did the business early as well, which was
Yeah,
important.
you're
Like,
right.
the longer you
Yeah,
leave something like that, the more of a chance you have of losing that player. So I think they got it done nice and early as well. So
you
that
were
probably
saying
benefited
Dan,
them.
Newcastle went from as well, were they?
Newcastle were in from. He wanted to go to London. So
Of
that was it.
course.
Newcastle had tried to get him. I think it was even in the January. I think they were in from. And yeah, they were in talks, agreed a fee, and then he chose he wanted to go to London. So I think that's what
Fair enough.
happened there. Yeah.
What about yourself? Player of the season so
Yeah,
far?
I had Madison down, but I kind of
Really?
figured that somebody else was going to pick him, so I had to pick him. And the backup was Julian Alvarez at City.
Good
Oh,
man. Good
great
stuff.
choice. Yeah.
Just based on the players that City have missing since the start of the season, the players that left, and I felt he's gone in there. He's playing a slightly different role, I think, than he played a couple of last year as well. And I think he's been fantastic every time I watched him. I was really impressed with him last year. I think he's come on leaps and bounds, and I think he's really part of the reason why I think City are doing so well, especially with the kind of couple of changes in their team and in their midfield in particular. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
he's come in now and I thought done exceptionally well. So he was kind of my backup to Madison. But as Keenan said there, I think for the money they got him for and for importance actually to the way they play, like they're playing under Postecoglou and the amount of freedom they're giving him. He is like for the likes of Son, he's a dream for the likes of them players to have. And
Uh,
and
definitely.
they haven't really had that. Like if you think about it, Kane was nearly doing the Madison role at Spurs, along with scoring the goals. He was the one that was coming back and rolling balls into Son, and that's so like Madison is kind of he's taking over that role as well. I think as that creative player in the Spurs team, they haven't really had that in a while. So, but anyway, yeah, Alvarez for me
Okay.
was second there. So yeah.
And I suppose I know we're only excuse me, I know we're only 8 games in, but what has been Dan again, what has been your highlight of the season so far?
Yeah, I didn't overthink it. I just the one that really stood out for me was Nunez's goals against Newcastle, and for a variety of reasons. One, because I think St James's Park is one of the most difficult places to go to get a result. Get down to 10 men, we looked like we were dead and buried. Something really likable about Nunez as well, whatever it is. I think not just Liverpool fans, a lot of people seem to like him or want him to do well. And for him to come on and score the 2 goals that he scored, the fact actually I was in Keenan's house And I was there with my two brothers, and one of them was sitting wearing a Newcastle jersey, who was getting far too fucking big for his boots, to be honest. So to be able to whip off my top and beat the chest and say a few expletives to him was fucking well worked, and definitely my highlight of the season so far, 100%.
What about the Diaz offside, Dan? I thought you would have picked that one, no?
Good one, Howard. Come back when you bottle the league again.
Yeah.
Come here, Dan. Is that like your go-to move, like kind of shirt off, beating the chest? Because you've said it a lot, like, and is that
Yeah,
like
man. Just, you go through this. We all know it. You just go into this kind of fucking out of body experience.
of
You
course,
just
yeah, absolutely.
you lose it, and like he was giving it loads, Richie, when they were 1-up, and he was fucking, you know, he was.
This is your brother, yeah.
Yeah, we were Richie's. I mentioned actually in the pod earlier in the season after when we reviewed that game. You know, he's a big Newcastle fan, and for a number of years there, sure, they've been a fucking farce. So it's been, it's been grand. It's Liverpool usually play Newcastle and beat them. Usually would finish higher than them. But, you know, he really came out with shell now this year, and you know, was talking them up. You know, big things, expecting big things. So look, it was the way the game was. We really should have been getting married, and to get 2 goals like that out of the blue, and it's James Pardy. Not many sides will go to this season get 3 points. So, that was my highlight. So far this season, yeah, definitely.
Very good. Keenan, do you have a highlight so far this season?
Yeah, I think the one I enjoyed the most was probably Matoma's goal against Wolves. I think when he ran from the halfway.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
I think he dribbled past 4, 5, 6 players, and then he buried in the top corner. It was incredible skill, like real composure. Then when he got the shot on, it was just brilliant goal. Like,
how many fantasy football that weekend, Keenan?
Huh?
Did you have him in your fantasy football that weekend as well?
No, I didn't actually. I wish I did, but I didn't. No. I actually haven't had him in yet. I haven't had him in. I've been trying to get him in, and then might play the wild card soon. So I'd say he'd be in there soon.
Yeah. Is Keenan, are you top of the league at the moment?
I'm not. No, I think I'm third. I was top there for 1 week, and I've been knocked back down now again, unfortunately.
Okay. I remember you. I remember you were top of the league, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Howard.
No. I'm just saying, top of the league. You'll get back there. I swear to God.
I'll try my best.
These two lads as well, right? They've been trying, and in fairness to them, they're climbing their way up that league. It's what's your man say? It's a marathon. This fantasy league crack.
Not a sprint.
Howard.
Stories. It's a long season.
Highlight
again. Yeah, it's, I don't know. As you said, it's like kind of like your favorite players that we picked a few weeks ago. It's hard to pick moments that you like that aren't related to your own team, Of course, So I've gone for the Declan Rice goal against United, simply because it was last minute. Well,
yeah,
they end up being 3-1 in the end, but it was, it was just the whole array of moves with the Garnacho just being offside, and then Arsenal got a corner, and Declan Rice obviously got his first goal, and the crowd went mental. Kind of had shades of the Reece Nelson against Bournemouth a bit last year, when it was that same goal that he shot into, and people thought we were going to win the league because he came back. But yeah, that was my moment, and the whole United Arsenal rivalry. It's nothing better than beating them. Like out of all the teams, I think, like for me personally, I think that game is the game that I'd want Arsenal to win the most, even more so than the Tottenham game, or the City game. You'd want it for the league, but in regards to if there was no title on the line or there was nothing like that, if you just wanted one game to win, it would be against United. So that's
You despise them.
I despise them. Yeah, I despise a lot of teams. Well, mainly Chelsea and United, but yeah.
You really don't like United.
Well, I gave United their perks last week, didn't I? So
you did, and in fairness, actually, a lot of people applauded you. Yeah, like a lot of people applauded you for that, because
it was don't want to be too doom and gloom with the United aspect. No, but I suppose you grow up and your mates are the other, like mainly United or Liverpool or whatever. Like Liverpool weren't too much of, like, if my mates were Liverpool fans as growing up, it was just it's grand, like they'd win their Champions League or that, but it wouldn't be really a threatened league when you were in secondary school. But the United fans, like, they were everywhere, like, you know what I mean? So you couldn't get away from them. So they were one of the main reasons why, like, you every game that they beat you in, like, you'll hear it the next day when you before 9 o'clock the bell rings, you'll be fucking getting stick about the game beforehand, like. So it's nice fun to win,
Of course. Most entertaining, or the highlight of the season so far for me, It's a little bit of a dig, fair enough, but it's Chelsea and seeing them kind of not. It is. It's Todd Bowley coming into the club last season and basically thinking that it's as simple as spending money and it working, which has proven to not be the case for Chelsea. And you can take the piss, Dan. It's probably on the tip of your tongue now. Oh, what about City spending money and all that crap? Todd Bowley came in and as you all know, he has spent over $1 billion so far. They had a terrible season last season, and Chelsea are entering into a run of games now. Dan, you mentioned it last week that it's going to be very difficult to see where they pick up wins and points from the next, is it 7 or 8 games? And I just think that Todd Bowley is going to find out that it's not just a case of throwing money at a club like Chelsea, that it needs to have certain kind of stages and layers in terms of the management, the structure of the club, directors of football, coaches, staff, etc. And for me, it's been a highlight, and it just shows that you cannot just throw £1 billion at this and think it's going to work. It doesn't work like that. There have been a number of owners over the years that have kind of found that out the hard way, and I think Todd Bowley is going to find that out the hard way as well.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. So it's great to see their suffering, isn't it? We're joyous around their suffering.
Hold on.
No, well, it is though, Dag. It is. It's like
I never used the word suffering.
I'm all for it. Like I'm all for it. Like
yeah, I know, but I never said the word suffering. You've gone down that dark alley. I've just said it's nice to see him spending money and not getting.
Well, it's just every time they sign the player for whatever fucking 50 or 70 million, they thought they were going to win the league each time they signed a new player. So there is a bit of sweetness behind that suffering,
Absolutely. All right, now this has been an interesting one. Howard, I'll stick with you with this one. One thing you would change about the Premier League, if you could.
This was an interesting one now for me, actually. I had a few things. What I would have said last year, and it isn't my pick now, but it would have been the time wasting, and they seem to have kind of maybe addressed that to a point this year, because it kind of pissed me off last year, I suppose, when you're watching the game and like it's just like there's like whatever, the ball's in play for 45 minutes over the whole 90. Like it was a bit, you're there to watch a game and you're there to be entertained. But anyway, my one was actually just yeah, I could have got into other things, but I said celebrations. When players actually score goals and they're like, they want to just like fucking let them fucking take off their top, or let them fucking run down the pitch and into the crowd and not get booked. I think that whole booking thing is just a bit of a joke, to be honest. Like, I just think like, there's emotions there to have, like why are we trying to put a cover on it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was there an incident that happened years and years ago that like they're saying, right, we have to book players for jumping into the crowd? Maybe it was a Cantona thing. Maybe it was that.
Yeah,
maybe I don't
fair
know.
enough.
But he wasn't celebrating, so. But yeah, no, that kind of stuff. It was it kind of pissed me off.
It's an interesting one, but I suppose I get it. I get it 100%. Ripping the top off, jumping into the crowd. I guess there is an element of kind of event management and crowd safety and all that type of stuff that is probably in place to not allow that to happen. But I 100% agree with you. The players are human. They have emotions. When they score a goal, it's probably the best feeling in the world. So, yeah, that's a very good one. Keenan, what do you think? Anything you would change about the Premier League? Or, seeing as you're also a Roma fan, Serie A, if you want to go either or.
Yeah, I think what I would say is probably the standard of the refereeing and the decision making inconsistency then with VAR as well. And I think it's the same problem kind of with the Premier League and in Serie A. The inconsistency is crazy. An incident could happen in one match and a player could receive a card, and then it could happen in another match to be nothing. Like, it's just
and I suppose
inconsistency constantly. Like,
with VAR in Serie A, it's obviously being used as well in Serie A and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, are there as many kind of contentious incidents in Serie A as you would see in the Premier League?
I would think so. Yeah, there's quite a lot. Whether it be handballs in the penalty box, whether it's a red card or not, I think a lot of things get missed as well at times. And whether the VAR are looking at these incidents or not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
There's just a lot of inconsistency.
And I suppose with VAR actually in Serie A, do the commentators go into kind of detail? Do they show replays and do they show the lines and all this type of stuff?
Yeah, that's another thing that can be quite delayed as well at times.
Okay.
You see a referee waiting on pitch for 3, 4, 5 minutes sometimes listening to the VAR while the players are surrounding the referee. There's no replays being shown on the any of the big screens in the stadiums, and no one really knows what's going on. And you're just waiting and waiting, and then
I got you. Yeah.
even if you're watching the game on TV, there's very little replays being shown. Like,
Gina,
Okay.
we're not saying that it seems in other leagues that it takes longer though. Do you think it takes longer for VAR decisions in Italy than it does in England? That's
yeah,
my
I think in the few of the Premier League games that I've seen now, it does seem to the decisions seem to be made a lot quicker. Yeah, and Syria, it is very slow. They're going into fine detail, and then even then, you would something that you might think might be a penalty, they might not give it, and I don't know. As I said, it's very inconsistent, but yeah, very slow as well. It's frustrating for the fans in the stadiums that are trying to watch this game, and the game has been stopped, and they don't know what's happening. Like, it's quite annoying at times. Like,
Okay.
The flip side of that, like then, or Angina would be like, rush the game back into play like they had for the Diaz game, or Diaz goal. Like I think that was a part of the reason why they made that mistake, because they didn't want to slow the game down too much, So get the ball back and
yeah, they rushed the
play
decision.
that,
Yeah.
and then so.
True. All right, Dan. One thing you would change about the Premier League?
Yeah, like it would be very easy for me to kind of go back down to the VAR and refereeing route, but I'm not going to go there. The fixtures, I'm going to the fixture kind of setup. So kind of twofold. I don't know if you were following I stuck it into the group there around the
Yeah.
night. Liverpool have had under Klopp. Liverpool have had 14 games at 30 kickoffs after the international break. And the next closest team is, I think, Spurs, I think, and Chelsea with 6 each. So, but that's not even really, I just said I'd mention it, but it's not even really, it's more of I think that could be distributed fairer. Now, I get that an awful lot of broadcasters across the world would want Liverpool on a televised game. So I get that's part of it. But when you look at the other big sides that would have an awful lot of players, especially South American and players playing abroad, you can see why that it is definitely weakens. So it was yes, that would be one part of it, just around them 12:30 kickoffs. I think for a lot of, especially the bigger sides that would have more players playing international football, I think that is a small bit of an issue. But more so, my whole point on the fixtures is I would like to see it go back to nearly when we had the COVID times in regards to fixture listings. So we used to have games that were on a Friday, Saturday. I think this weekend it's nice because there's an 8 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. United are playing, I think, at 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
And
Sheffield
on Sunday
United.
during COVID as well, there was a game at like 6 or 7 in the evening on a Sunday. And I know that it's complicated because a lot of the good sides are playing in Europe. So, but I actually just think there should be Premier League football on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
Just from a selfish point of view, I'd love a Friday, but that's it. I think that would be what I'd change. I'd love to be watching the game sitting down on Friday evening when there's fuck all else to be doing. Watching the game on Friday. A late game on a Saturday, I think, is class as well. A game at 8 o'clock is cool, and
Absolutely,
even on the Sunday, it was quite cool there during COVID. I think where you had a game at 2, game at 4, and then there was something on at like 7 o'clock.
yeah.
Yeah, so that for me would be something I'd like to change. Just think anyone that knows wouldn't want games on over the course of the weekend instead of trying to push them all together. The only other thing I was looking at around the fixtures as well is that blanket ban that they have in the UK around showing a game at 3 o'clock. That as well was part of it. I think that really was another thing that was just bothering me. There should be can't Sky have a game that's live on at 3 o'clock? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
so they were just my takes on that. Yeah.
No, the one thing that I'd like to change is very similar to yours, Dan. It's I'd like to see more Friday night football games because they happen every now and again. They throw on a Friday night football game. I just think it's brilliant to kind of watch a football game on a Friday night, and it kind of sets you up for the weekend. And it's like, as you said, like there's not many sports on. I suppose Irish people don't watch much sports on a Friday night, anyways. So I mean, to kind of, and when the Premier League do show a game on Friday nights, I think it's exciting. It's new. I think for years they had Monday night football, and again they seem to be kind of dipping in and out of that. Where I think if they made like Friday night football, like a consistent fixture, I think that's a winner, to be
And
honest.
just also as well, Italy, Germany, Spain, and France. I think, am I right in saying, Keane, they nearly always have a game on a Friday?
Yeah, in Syria, there'd be a game on a Friday night, and there's normally games on Monday night as well. I find a lot of the time, though, the standard of those games might be great. It kind of be rare enough you get the bigger teams playing those fixtures, but as Deck was saying there, it's nice to have it on the Friday night and it sets you up then kind of for the weekend fixtures. But yeah, it's
Absolutely, yeah.
always been something like that, yeah.
Okay, so now we're nearly at the end of this segment, and I've left the best one for last. So, the most entertaining manager, basically, the manager that you would like to go out on the beer with. So, Howard, I'm going to start with you on this one.
A few of you might have this one after we mentioned him last week, but because I assume it's current managers, I picked Roy
Yeah.
Hodgson.
Okay.
The man.
Please do explain why.
The man has been managing for 47 years. Like, he's been managing teams like I have a list here now. Malmo, Inter Milan, Grasshoppers, Copenhagen, United Arab Emirates, Viking, Finland, Fulham, Liverpool, West Brom, England under 21s, England, Crystal Palace, Watford, Crystal Palace, and then a few extra ones here: Örebro, Bristol City, Halmstad. So he seems to have a bit of an effect on the Scandinavian teams as well, but it looks a bit. And like he's 59 caps for his senior career from Gravesend and Northfleet. So he wasn't a man who was had a load of honors around his name when he was playing centre back or he was defender, so centre back.
Like, what's your thinking? He'd love to go on the beer with Roy Hodgson because he has had he'd have a lot of stories to tell, or that
he obviously
free travel.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, he'd have 47 years of stories. And it's not like the stories, like he's not one of them guys who's like your Mourinho's and even Pep and Arteta to a point that they have this arrogance about them, and he's really by the book kind of a lad that you probably not just go for pints with him, you probably meet him down in the pub having pints and you just stumble into him, you know what I mean? So
as in you just kind of find him sprawled over the bar, like.
Yeah, well, not even that. I just say he was there having a quiet pint himself, minding his own business. I'd say,
I doubt he drinks pints.
Thinking if he's gonna play 4-4 fucking 2, or if he's just gonna play 4-4 fucking 2.
He's a wine man.
I'd say he's a wine man too. I'd say he
hasn't
had
maybe
a pint in years.
Maybe he'd be having a few fine wines.
Okay.
But yeah, look, that's him, and look, he's a madman, still managing at the age of 76. So fair play to him. And
he loves it, obviously.
I'd say he might go for another while yet.
Definitely, Keenan, one manager to go on the beer with in the Premier League.
Yeah, I won't lie. Roy Hodgson was probably up near the top of my list as well, like just because the longevity of his career so far. But I suppose for me, the Italian connection to Roberto De Zerbi, I suppose. After managing in Serie A, and then he was over in Shakhtar as well, and now to see him in the Premier League and Brighton playing such a good brand of football, I think it'd be interesting because he was at Sassuolo in Serie A, and they were very impressive, like really good style of football, good attacking counter play as well, and I think he's brought that to Brighton as well. But just to chat about the transition between the couple of different leagues, and how he's fine in the Premier League, because he's hit the ground running. I think he's doing quite well there. So
big time. And is there an expectation in the Serie A that he will in time to come manage the national side?
National side, I'm not too sure, but I think there is a lot of Serie A clubs there that are very interested in his signature for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Now, Mr. Coulter, a manager you want to go on the beer with, or a manager that wants to go on the beer with you? Who's it going to be?
I have picked a man, kind of like what Howard was coming from there, a man who is well traveled and has seen a lot of things. And I would like to go for a pint or a whiskey chaser with David Moyes.
Yeah, fair enough. I get it.
About his time at Everton, a lot of the hidings he took off Liverpool over that time. That year as well that he did, where he had a successful run of league finishes with Everton, and then the whole crack of going to United, because I think he's one person more than most that could actually tell us an awful lot of really what went on, as he was the first man after Fergie. There's been a good few of them, but he was the first, and there was high expectations, and I think he's always been quite respectful in his responses around it, where I think if he got a few whiskies into him, he'd fucking let rip on what went on with when he took the job at United. So I think he would go, and then obviously then the whole went to West Ham, and he left West Ham, and then that was a bit shitty, and then they brought him back, and then he's after winning European silverware after being so long managing in the game and so well respected to have won a European trophy for the Hammers. So I think he'd have a serious amount to tell, and I don't know if you've seen that meme go around there from last week as well of him screaming at who was it on the pitch? There was that kind of
Denali, I think.
Yeah, he was just there roaring in his face, like kind of like laughing at him. So he has a bit of a sinister side to him as well, as do I.
course, yeah.
So I would love to go for a few pints with Moisey.
Okay, fair enough. Moyes was near the top of my list as well, and I'm surprised none of you have picked the person that I've picked, Jurgen Klopp. It was quite an easy pick. Like, I'd love to go for a pint with Moyes, Hodgson, to an extent maybe, Guardiola obviously, but I don't think Guardiola would have like a fun night out. He'd be home by 11 type
He
thing.
wouldn't buy you a drink anyway, the prick.
No, I just think Jurgen Klopp, I think you're guaranteed like a great night out. But I mean, just he comes across as a bit of a madman. And like, I guarantee after 5 or 6 pints, he's going to start talking German to you, and you're not going to have a fucking clue what he's saying. But I mean, you know, you'll be able to kind of talk to him about Borussia Dortmund breaking the whole Bayern Munich kind of hold on the Bundesliga. You'll be able to talk to him about the kind of Liverpool breaking the Man City hold on the Premier League. I mean, just he's been at clubs where he's built them up and probably got them playing football that, I mean, it doesn't happen. He's just a very, very unique manager. And I'd say on a night out, I'd say he would give you a great laugh. And I'd just say, I think anyways, he'd be a fucking brilliant lad to go on the beer with. So Jurgen Klopp is my pick.
Can I assure you wouldn't go for a pint with you?
Say that again?
Can I assure you, wouldn't go for a pint with you?
That's okay. I guarantee David Moyes wouldn't go near you either. Okay. Come here, we'll move on. So Keenan is with us this week. Keenan is a very big Roma fan and a fan of Serie A football as well. So I suppose Keenan, when I heard from Dan that he knew a Roma fan, like, I was kind of instantly intrigued. I mean, how does someone become a Roma fan, especially given the fact that they're from Ireland? I mean, how did you become a Roma fan? Please do tell.
Yeah, I get this a lot, like when people ask who do you support, like, and you don't name a Premier League team and you name a team over in Italy, people are like, how the hell did that happen? Like, for me, I suppose when I was younger, I watched Italian football in Serie A on Channel 4, and I always had a great love for Italian football. I thought the standard, I suppose, back then was probably a lot better than what it is at the moment, but a lot of the big names in football were all drawn to Serie A, and one of the first football jerseys I actually got when I was younger was from a cousin of mine, and it was a Roma jersey as well. So I kind of started to follow Roma a bit then, and Francesco Totti was the captain of the side.
Course,
and back in the 2000-2001 season, they had won the league, and yeah, I liked AC Milan at the time as well. But after I got that Roma jersey, I was stuck with them then, I think.
And I'm just trying to think now. So they would have won the league, if I'm doing my kind of research properly, 2000, 2001. Is that the year they won the league?
2001. Yeah, it's the last time they actually won the league as well. Yeah, back in 2000, 2001. Yeah.
Okay, so
actually a long time ago.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. You were saying as well that like your dad had been a Man United fan. I mean, how, and we had like we had a Shamrock Rovers fan and an Everton fan during the week. So I just think it's really interesting how people become fans of specific clubs that aren't in the norm. For example, Dan, you're Liverpool, Howard's Arsenal, I'm Man City as well. Whereas, the majority of kind of people our age would be Man United, probably Liverpool, definitely a few Arsenal. There's a Leeds kind of contingent in there as well. But Roma, like, I didn't get it. But growing up now, when I think about it, looking back, I remember on Channel 4, I think it was, they used to show the Serie A highlights. And so I get it. I do get that. So that's very cool. And I suppose with Roma, over the last few years, obviously Totti is the kind of name that people would think of when they think of Roma. Daniel De Rossi as well. Um, who else? Are there any other big players that we would know, but we wouldn't necessarily kind of relate to Roma? Cafu, wasn't he with Roma as well?
Cafu, yeah, he
Oh,
was.
Salah.
Yeah, Mohamed Salah, yeah. Alisson, the Liverpool current goalkeeper
Ah,
as well,
Yeah.
yeah.
did Liverpool raid Salah and Allison from Roma?
Salah and Alisson, yeah. I think we got
Ah,
about
here.
70 million for Alisson, and they robbed us on Salah. We only got about 30 million from him, and look what he's gone on to do in the Premier League. Like,
Ah, here. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
like, yeah. Unfortunately, at the time, I suppose we had an American owner over us, and yeah, he was mad for selling players and making some money. So
And
every time we've had a good player, they've been sold on. We actually had Marquinhos as well, the PSG centre
okay.
back. He's gone on to become a good player as well. Like, and
And I'm
there's a
just
few
trying
more.
to think now. He had Gabriel Batistuta as well, didn't he?
At a Studa, yeah.
Oh, I need a serious,
Yeah.
serious team.
Back
Okay,
in the
so I
day, we were
suppose
classic players like.
absolutely. So moving on, kind of over the last 2 years, obviously Jose Mourinho has come along. Um, so actually, first off, what was the reaction when you heard Mourinho was taking over?
I think that my reaction certainly was I don't think I was that pleased.
Okay,
He hadn't I don't think he had done a great job at United. He certainly hadn't done a great job at Spurs from what I had seen. But I thought maybe it's a little less. The pace in Italy probably isn't up to the pace of the Premier League, and I thought maybe it'll suit him a bit better. But the widespread reaction, I suppose, to Mourinho joining, the fans were elated, like they were delighted to coup such a big name,
yeah,
and thought that Mourinho could probably bring us to the next level. Um, but personally, I was very unsure at the time, and even now looking at him, like I'm still not sure, and he's in his third year with us now, like so.
that was my next point. I suppose like he's into his third season, and Mourinho in season three kind of it looks to kind of end only one way. So I mean, I see that you're in 12th in Serie A at the moment. It's obviously not the best of starts for you, but is Mourinho or any of those kind of behaviours that you've seen at Spurs and Man United, the kind of getting irritated with the media and stuff like that in his third season, is that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a
It
constant
is.
thing with Mourinho, though. He's always in the limelight. He loves to be on the touchline, giving out, and he's actually served quite a few bans at the moment. At the start of the season, he's been serving bans for comments he made about the referee in the Europa League final.
Okay.
I like just consistently getting red cards all the time, yellow cards, and getting suspensions. And I think this will be his last season with us. His
Okay.
contract is due to run up at the end of the season, and he came out only recently enough and said that he turned down a massive offer from Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Okay.
But he also said that I will manage there one day. So I expect this will probably be his last season. Yeah. We
Fair
have had
enough.
quite a slow start to the season. The first couple of games, he was serving the touchline ban, and we lost a couple of bad games. And I think this season there was a big expectation after reaching the Europa League final. We had got Lukaku, and we did some good business during the summer. We got a couple of free agents there for the midfield, and there was a lot of hope and expectation going into the start of the season. And yeah, we're sitting down in 10th at the minute, so
The 10th. Okay. I
yeah, it's
suppose
it's not looking too good at the moment.
what was the response to winning the Europa Conference League? Because I mean, look, people are saying, look, it's a European trophy. Others are saying it's a Farmers Cup and all this crap. Like, what was the kind of general? What did you think of winning this trophy? I suppose. What did in general? What was the reception in as of Roma fans winning this trophy? Like, was it laughed at? Was it respected? Was it bigged up? Like,
Yeah, well, I suppose at the start of the tournament, it kind of was looked at as that kind of farmers tournament in Europe. You're going to throw all the poor enough teams from certain nations just to give them a bit of European football. And I think that was kind of the way we viewed it at the start. But I suppose as you get further on in the tournament, you start to play a couple of better teams. And I remember we were in a group with Bodo Glimt and went away and got hammered like 6-1.
okay,
And after that, then I think they kind of woke up a bit, and we ended up getting them in the knockouts again. I actually went over to the Olympico for the Bodo game, and we drew 2-2 with them. And I think
really?
Yeah, I was at that game. Yeah, we drew 2-2. So there's a couple of bad performances along the way, but I think when you reach the final, then and it's just a bit of silverware because we
Of
hadn't won any
course, yeah.
silverware since I think probably 2007, 2008. We probably won an Italian Cup. So I think just to get a bit of silverware, and I think
Yeah, I got you.
a bit of
And
kind of
look,
got a bit better for us. Like,
I mean, West Ham will say the same thing as well. Like last season, it's silverware. It is a European trophy, whatever way you want to look at it. You mentioned the Stadio Olimpico. So obviously you share this stadium with Lazio. And again, like I didn't need to do much reading to know that Roma and Lazio have a huge rivalry. So I suppose when I kind of say rivalry, like how heated is this rivalry? If you wanna like, is it Celtic and Rangers level? Is it United and Liverpool level? I mean, what are you talking? Does it get violent at these
I
matches?
think in years gone by, definitely. I think years ago when the stadiums allowed fireworks and all these sorts of things inside, there was always a lot of trouble. In recent years now it has calmed down, but at the same time it probably is up there with the likes of Rangers and Celtic. Like
Really?
the two clubs really do hate each other. Like, and the fans, there's a lot of trouble around the game. I actually went to my first derby there in November of last year. So that was my first time soaking it up, but the atmosphere was just incredible, like from
Why
start to finish.
why are you saying that?
I can see Daniel down there is laughing.
Score
I'm sure
keeping
you
in
can.
that game.
I'm sure you can remember the result. Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
score?
So
What was the score?
we lost 1-0, and
That's not.
it was a horrendous performance from start to finish. They were just so poor, and it was such a letdown. Like, I've been waiting for that game for so many years, and finally got the tickets then and went. And yeah, it was a major disappointment. I know Daniel Coulter down there. He enjoyed it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
sent a new text, did I?
Oh, you might have. Yeah. I think you may have sent me a couple of pictures of Pedro and the likes. Yeah, sending me on the scoreline in case I forgot, as he likes to do from time to time.
And come here, the ultras. So the Roma ultras. I mean, I've read about them a lot. I've seen kind of different clips on TV, etc. But I mean, again, like, are they as extreme as they are reported to be? Like, have you kind of you've seen them at games? What are they like? And I suppose their reputation and their behavior. A lot of violence. They tend to kind of go over the top. I mean, what is the kind of whole purpose of that specific group of fans? What are they trying to achieve by kind of what they do?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been to a lot of games, and I've never seen any trouble. I've been to a couple
Okay.
of games away in Italy. I've been to the San Siro. I've been to many games in the Olimpico, and personally, I have never seen any trouble. But there are groups of supporters. There will be ultras, and all the teams around Italy would have those groups. Um, and there's just some clubs that they just don't get on with each other, and they would love to be scrapping, like when there's these games and there'd be
Yeah.
meets. So like one in particular obviously is Roma and Lazio, but Roma and Napoli also.
Right.
There's a big fallout between certain ultra groups between the two of them, and there's always quite a lot of trouble at that game in particular.
That's
I
more to do
actually
with the
went to Roma and
pizza, is
Napoli a
it,
few
Keenan?
years ago.
That one. Who is the best pizza, Roma
Huh?
or Napoli? That's more to do with the pizza, I'd say. Is it who's the best pizza,
That's it.
Napoli?
The pizza and the takeaways.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I remember being in Roma and they were in Rome and they're giving out stink about the Napoli pizza. So I'd say it's the same down in Naples. So
Jesus
Yeah, it's
Christ.
a jealousy thing about the pizzas.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is. They're completely different style pizzas. Anyway, we're getting away from the point here.
We're very much getting away from the point.
yeah,
Keane,
yeah.
Keane,
But
I ask
as
you,
I said, go on, Daniel. Sorry.
I was just gonna ask, like on so the summer, like obviously Lukaku was like, originally Inter were trying to get him, then Juventus were trying to get him, and he ended up with him. And I know he had a bit of a mare in the Champions League final, but in general he was starting to, I think, chip in away, wasn't he, with goals again? So that would have
Yeah.
been a big, and he'd be a real Mourinho type of player in the way he plays. So like, what was the expectations when he came in regards, like, what were your thoughts on him coming in, and then like where before the start of the season, where do Roma feel like is it Champions League? Is that what's kind of the aim?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. With Lukaku, he was at Inter Milan, and the Inter Milan wanted to sign him again. But apparently Lukaku held talks with Juventus behind Inter Milan's back. And then when Inter Milan found out about that, they said, "Well, that's you done with us." And then the move to Juve kind of was going on. Vlahovic leaving Juventus and going to Chelsea, which didn't happen, which meant they couldn't then sign him. And I think it was coming towards the end of the transfer window, and he needed a club. Chelsea didn't want him. We needed a striker. Mourinho liked him. So yeah, it was a big coup for us. Like I was delighted when we got him, because I know what he's. I know the type of player he is. He'll have a lot of chances in games. He miss a lot, but he does return a lot of goals too. And we've been missing that last season. Because we actually signed a player called Bellotti. He was the Torino captain for many years, and he was a prolific goal scorer in Serie A, but he just didn't hit the ground running for us last year. And towards the end of the season, then Tammy Abraham also did his ACL in his knee.
Oh yeah.
So
did he?
we were desperate for a striker. Yeah, we were desperate for a striker. So when we got him, I was delighted. And yeah, he's doing well. The fitness wasn't there to start, but he's come back well now. I think he's got 7 goals maybe in 8 games. So
okay.
I think though the problem might be now that he may only just be there for a season, because we have him on a loan for the season. I think if Mourinho goes at the end of the season, I'd say if he keeps up this form, I'd say he probably will be gone as well. So it may be just a season wonder, I think, unfortunately, but we'll see.
I suppose the final point kind of on Roma and Italian football I want to bring in is the current football scandal, which is kind of taken over Italian football at the moment over the last few weeks. So basically, there's been a betting scandal. Keenan, you'll be able to kind of tell us properly about it, but there's 3 to 4 players currently basically kind of caught up in making illegal bets, not necessarily match fixing, but making illegal bets on illegal platforms and betting on football matches that are they involved in, are they not involved in? Do you have any kind of further insight into it?
Yeah, I suppose from what I know about it so far is there was a so-called journalist, Fabrizio Ferrone is his name. Yeah. He's a so-called journalist. I think he spent about 12 years in prison though for previously blackmailing players, trying to get money out of them, saying basically, "Oh, like I have these videos and I release these or whatever." But basically, he's broke this news. But
he's a real stand-up citizen. This not
doesn't look. Oh, real stand-up citizen, yeah. But he released a couple of names. One in particular was Nicolo Fagioli. He's a young guy that plays for Juventus. But there's a lot of kind of info coming out about it now that he is a couple of million in debt. He's been betting on football matches. They've not kind of released what football matches he's been betting on, but it doesn't look good. But apparently, agents of his kind of knew about this betting problem, and nothing was ever said about it. Also, Nicolo Zaniolo, who's just gone to Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, yeah.
Tonali as well. That's at Newcastle.
Tonali, Howard, that's your lad.
Yeah.
Chiseled cheeks. You're not going to do him much favors now in this whole thing. Hey.
Adam Driver, isn't it? We're talking about
Adam Driver. Sorry, Keenan, go ahead.
No, but he's now coming out and he's also saying that he has been betting on football matches as well. So Zaniolo is kind of saying, "No, I've never gambled on football matches. It's just kind of poker and blackjack." So I suppose as the investigation goes on now, they'll kind of find out more. Another player that was named was actually a Roma player, Zalewski, but he is saying no gambling for me at all whatsoever. He's on about suing your man now that broke the news. So whether he's involved in that, I don't know. But
I reckon this is going to get a lot bigger once they start.
I know, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine given Italy's,
I think
would have a kind of a blackened past with different clubs and scandal. And I can imagine these 3 boys were apparently, you mentioned, they were in a WhatsApp group. Who else is in the WhatsApp group? They're after getting your man, is it Fingoli's phone? And there's messages between the 3 lads. And the talk is that Zaniolo was betting on Roma games in running while he was on the bench. Now that hasn't come out that it was proven yet. But from what I read into it, it sounds like it could be quite bad for the 3 boys. And then how far does the net go? Because I think there was illegal. They're not betting firms that they were betting with. It was kind of all done underhanded stuff. So I think it could be more to come with this one. It'd be interesting.
I definitely agree. Yeah, they're illegal betting sites that they're doing, and obviously as a professional, you're not allowed to gamble whatsoever. Obviously, if they're betting on the likes of poker and blackjack, you're not going to really get serious serious issues out of that, they'll probably get a couple of fines and stuff. But if they've been betting on football matches, and I suppose especially in Serie A, they're looking at some hefty bans. And I think the Italian FA, they really want to come down hard in these and kind of make an example of them, just to make sure that kind of others wouldn't follow. But I'd say, as Daniel was saying there, the web is definitely wider. I'd say there'd be a lot more players to come out of this, because obviously they're going to investigate this whole thing now. It could take months, but I can definitely see a lot more names coming out of it for sure. Yeah.
I find it very interesting as well that the bans that they throw out in Italy, like I referenced on the podcast here, Keenan, at the start of the season, that I found it very interesting that Ivan Toney only got an 8-month ban, where the talk is that these lads will get 2 to 3 years at least,
Yeah.
if it's deemed. So it just goes to show, like, you know, I think that Italy are in my opinion, the right approach anyway. They'll just
Yeah.
have to kind of stamp it out, like, and you know, if even Tony, I mentioned it, if he wasn't English player, would the ban have been longer? I think it would have. So
Absolutely.
it's
But they have a history, Dan. They have a history over in Italy that if they don't chop down on things, they'll run wild over there. So
100%.
you know.
Yeah.
Question about the Tonali thing. Like, can this filter down into the Premier League, and can he get banned for Newcastle, or does anyone know anything about that?
Yeah, you can.
Can he? All right. So
Yeah. I think Newcastle are kind of saying as well that if this is as bad as people are making it out to be, that Newcastle could end up suing AC Milan if he starts to get a ban in the Premier League and he's not playing after them paying so much money as well. So depending on how serious his offences are, yeah, Newcastle could be looking to sue Milan about it. Yeah.
I knew.
what's going on though. It's interesting. You know, you have the Paqueta situation.
Yeah.
You know, it's big clubs, big players, and a lot of money involved, and it's something that really I think needs to be looked at it on a wider scale, because it's very easy, especially for younger players, to get manipulated into this kind of, what I call it, match fixing. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, we're not going to go into it this week, but I mean, the amount of betting sponsorship that goes on in English football, I don't know what it's like in Italian football, but like so many clubs have kind of sponsorships from betting agencies, betting companies. It's all over the TV during commercials, during the matches we watch on Sky Sports, on BT. No, sorry, it's not BT anymore. It's TNT, isn't it? But I mean, it's everywhere. And I mean, even in this country as well, like you see so many, as you were saying, Dan, young players kind of, they're getting involved in gambling at a very young age, and it's leading to serious issues. So I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in Italy. It's an ongoing problem. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it. That was really interesting, Keenan. Thanks very much for that. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the weekend predictions. So next weekend we have some really good games coming up. First one of which is Liverpool versus Everton, Chelsea versus Arsenal, Sheffield United versus Man United, and Aston Villa versus West Ham. So, Dan, we will start with you. Merseyside derby on Saturday morning, Liverpool versus Everton. What do you think?
Yeah, I've gone for 3-0 Liverpool.
Very confident. Come on.
Yeah,
you don't see Everton doing much.
No, I don't. I'm just kind of hopeful that Liverpool's hoodoo with them 12:30 kickoffs is gone after beating Wolves earlier in the season. So Merseyside derbies at home, Everton's record is beyond deplorable. So I'm very hopeful that fully fit Liverpool side. I think Robertson is the one that looks like he could be out for a bit.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but I still think they should have well enough. I'd imagine they should come and pack the bus. So if we can get going, get one early, I think we could run away from them yet. So I've gone for 3-0.
Now, just on that, you also have Liverpool in your last man standing as well, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do.
Very good. So best of luck with that. We're all rooting for you. Howard, what do you think, Liverpool and Everton?
Yeah, I've 2-0 Liverpool. Unless there's a big upset there, I can't see it happening. Do you think? Is that a 12:30, Dan? Is that another, that's another 12:30 game? Unless there's some hangover from the international break, I can't see anything else but a Liverpool win.
Keenan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd say definitely Liverpool at home should be winning that game anyway. I'd say 3-1, I think.
3-1, good man. All right. So Howard, we'll go with you now for next game. Chelsea versus Arsenal. What do you think?
I have 1-0 Arsenal only. So I don't know.
Really?
Like Chelsea defense hasn't been bad this year. Like they've only conceded, I think, like something like 7 goals. So like they haven't been getting hammered or anything. They've just been losing. They're struggling to score really by looks of it. You know, your man Jackson is starting to get his shooting boots now, but like before that, they were struggling to get any goals. So my hope is that we just keep a clean sheet, keep it tight, and then just come away with a 1-0 win. That's the hope. But yeah, that's the prediction, I guess.
Okay. Dan, what do you think?
I've gone for 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. Okay. Um, Keenan, what do you think? Chelsea and Arsenal this weekend?
I'm actually the same as Daniel. I think 2-1 Arsenal. Yeah, I think Arsenal have been very, very impressive this season, and Chelsea just haven't been firing it. So I reckon Arsenal will be winning that game. In.
Absolutely. So no need to give Chelsea a hope. So do you remind me, Dan, of Chelsea's next few games? Who do they have?
Yeah, home against Arsenal, home to Brentford. Then they go away to Spurs. They play City at home, Newcastle away, Brighton at home, United away. So uh, it's a tough enough run for them. Like it is, and like they're, fair enough. As I kind of referenced, though, their wins that they've got this season are Luton and Burnley. It's nothing to
Yeah.
get excited about. So, yeah, I'd be fearful for, especially if they lose that game. Brentford at home, even for them, is a no gimme that they'll be
Yeah,
Brentford.
absolutely.
And then I don't see them getting any points off Spurs, City, Newcastle. I don't see them getting any points in any of them games. So, yeah.
Could Poch be in trouble come December?
Could he be in trouble? I think, I suppose, of course, he'd be under pressure with the money spent and the reputation he has, the reputation that Chelsea have as a club. But I'd imagine that, that fact that he has a big squad and there has been a lot of money spent on it, that he will be given more time. Plus, like, who else can they get it? Like, you know what I mean? There's not too many
Yeah.
others that he could
He's
see that
yeah.
have the profile that he has. That'd be, bar they go and try and poach De Zerbi off Brighton.
Well, that's the next step, isn't it? Back to
Yeah.
Brighton. But I've heard like they're trying to get him involved for the January transfer market, like the directors or whatever, trying to get him on board to see what players he'd like. So that would suggest that they're sticking with him for the next while anyway. But
I think so.
Yeah, I think that look, it was always going to be a sticky start for them. But I think we'll see how they go over this next run. But it looks like they're not playing as bad as they did under Potter, or Frank the Tank. So.
Frank the Tank, I like it. Okay. Dan, we'll stick with you. Sheffield United versus Man United. What do you think?
I've gone for I think I have a feeling that game, it's 8 o'clock kickoff, might be a bit of a slog to watch for the viewers. But I've gone for United to nick it 1-0.
United 1-0. Howard, what do you think?
I have United 2-1. Yeah. It's an 8. I didn't realize the time. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, is it? It's an even.
It's 8 after your game is on, like, isn't it, at 5:30, and then United are away at Sheffield United at 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you hear them times, then it makes it a bit stickier for United. Like under the lights up at Sheffield United. So I'll stick with the 2-1 to United. But yeah, it might be. Never know. It might be a tough game.
Yeah,
Just
no,
have a feeling. I just have a feeling. Yeah, I just think the way they played, like against Brentford last time out, like they weren't able to break Brentford down, and they no creative force. And I know they got 2 late winners that are really out of nothing as such. There wasn't much play to either of them.
I don't think they'll win it. I think that'll be a draw. No,
I
genuinely, I do. I'm not taking a piss out of Man United here, but I do genuinely think that will be a draw. Keenan, what do you think? Sheffield United and Man United?
I think it'll be 3-0 to United. I think I've seen
hold on,
United.
No, that's Man United.
No, Man United.
Yeah, just
I've seen Sheffield United a couple of times this season, and they ship quite a few goals. Like they're defensively, they're quite poor. Like, so I think United will soon. I think, but I don't see Sheffield United causing them any hassle.
Okay, and Keenan will stick with you for next one: Aston Villa and West Ham.
I think that'll be a draw. I think 2-2. Quite impressed with Aston Villa this season. I think they're a good side. They've got some good wingers there, and Ollie Watkins is firing in a few goals there now as well. West Ham are quite good as well. So yeah, I can see a draw 2-2.
Both teams have had a very good start to the season.
Yeah.
Dan, what do you think? Villa and West Ham?
I've also gone for 2-2.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think that that would be a very entertaining game actually. Yeah.
And
Because
Howard? Sorry.
I was saying, Villa at home, you see the power forward. They're playing a lot more fluent under this Emery. This Emery team is a lot different than Emery teams that I've seen line up in the past. And I think West Ham as well are really good on the counter. So I think it could be a really entertaining game, that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Howard, what do you think?
I've gone 3-2 deck to Villa.
3-2.
I
High
think Villa at
scoring
home.
game.
Yeah, Villa at home. Yeah, I don't know why we put such high scoring goals, but I think it's just the two teams are actually getting or finding it easy enough to score, handy enough. So I'd say,
No worries.
yeah, Villa at home. So
That's what actually. This isn't in the 4 games, but just out of curiosity, City versus Brighton. So 3 o'clock on Saturday. What way do you think that one will go? Dan?
City at home, are they?
Yeah.
4-0 City.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Keenan,
what do you think?
They have a few injuries right now, don't they?
I do.
Yeah.
I think City at home are very, very strong as well. I'd probably say 3-0.
Howard?
I'll go 2-0 City.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be nervy about that one.
Would
I
you?
mean, yeah, you just don't know. Just the way we're obviously the last 2 games we've lost in the Premier League. Brighton. Look, they're entertaining, they're excellent to watch, they're well coached. And yeah, again, just I'm a little bit worried about City at the moment. Rodri is back, which would be a huge plus. But and look, Sunday I could be saying, look, everything's fine again and we do win 4-0. But yeah, I just have a feeling like things aren't going brilliantly for City at the moment. There could be like a European treble hangover or something like that. I don't know, but just it doesn't seem to be clicking. I know we're missing players, but yeah, things don't seem to be clicking brilliantly. Still, look, we're 2 points behind top in third. It's still going fine, but
it's an important match. Like, if you lose. If you drop points there again now, it might.
100%. And if we win and Arsenal drop points, we're back on top.
Exactly. Look, it's all very early stages.
Exactly. All right, we'll move on to our final segment. So it's Monksland United. So at the weekend, they were in the FAI Junior Cup.
Hang on a sec.
Go on, Dan. Sorry.
Go and do the 4 predictions and not remind our viewers.
My apologies. Completely. I was only thinking about that.
Prize.
Look at me.
Big prize.
My apologies. All right, hold on. So, if you are able to predict 4 correct scores, they don't have to be similar to any of the lads' predictions. Your own ones are fine. If you predict 4 correct scores, you will be the winner of 2 Premier League match tickets to a team of your choice. We spoke about last weekend. We did some of the international fixtures over the weekend. No one was successful, but the lads are getting better. Okay, they are getting a little bit better week by week. So if you are able to predict 4 correct scores, you will be the winner of 2 match tickets to the Premier League team of your choice. So please do get your predictions in by Friday night at 10 p.m. And you can send them to us on Instagram at Football Fanatic Podcast.
Can I just say as well, can we just also, I think it'd be very rude of us after having our lovely guest on the call here to not say that, if he was to get it right, that you wouldn't get him tickets to a Roma game. I think that'd be fierce bad form on your half, Dick. So I think I'd like to put a vote here that, if there was any fans to get it right, that it should be a ticket to any game, Premier League or European or Scottish of your choice.
I know the Saudi over the circus. Maybe.
Well, thankfully, we're not predicting Saudi games, but yeah, and Keenan, if you are to get all 4 corrections, if you're to get them all right, I would gladly send you to Rome for the weekend. No worries. All right.
Yeah. I'll be predicting now for the rest of the season for sure.
No problem at all. Yeah. What do you call it?
Thanks, Dick.
No problem, Dan. Thank you very much for that as well. Okay. On to Monksland United. So they were in FAI Junior Cup action at the weekend, round 2. They were playing Arlington. So they were 3-0 down after half time, and they clawed their way back to 3-3 with literally a few minutes to go. Extra time passed and it went to penalties, and Arlington won 5-3 on penalties. So unlucky for them, but obviously a fantastic comeback as well. So fixtures for the weekend, Monksland United are playing Gallen United Sunday at 2 p.m. in Cushla Park. And their B team, they are not idle this weekend. They are in action. So Temple Villa versus Monksland B on Sunday morning at 11 in TP Hickey Park in Temple Villa. So gentlemen, that is nearly us. We'll move on to any other business. Anyone?
We forgot to give a shout out to our main man who was back in Jorginho there in a few of the comments on YouTube. So I just want to give a big up because I understand where he's coming from and I completely agree with him.
Benjamin,
is it? Yeah.
It was a good fake profile you set up, Howard. I have to give it to you.
Yeah. Just for the listeners, there was one of the other listeners came in and commented on Deck and Dan's rating of Jorginho, and it was bad mouthing their football knowledge because they didn't rate him. So I completely back that opinion as well. So well done, Benjamin.
He didn't like you, Dan.
Oh, well done, Benjamin. You know, Tony Crute said he was a good player, so he must have been a good player.
Very good. Okay.
Fair play to you. It's all about opinions, my friend.
I'm still convinced it's Howard, but look.
I'm sure this topic it'll come up again once Jorginho gets a hat-trick in the next game, surely.
Keenan, if you haven't seen it, go on to or anyone hasn't seen it, go on to the YouTube channel and the podcast, and under episode 10. There's
a great big verbal battle between Dan and Benjamin. Okay.
I was actually informed by Daniel's brother to take a look, so yeah, I enjoyed that.
It is. No, it's good. It's good viewing, good entertainment, if nothing else. All right, gentlemen, we will leave it there. Listen, thank you very much again for Keenan for coming on. Really interested on the Italian League in Roma. That'll do. Lads, have a good week, and Howard and Dan will be chatting to you again next week, okay?
Yeah. Cheers, Deck. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. Cheers, guys.